can't wait to be able to do one of these without a fucking disclaimer for a change, but guys, I'm sorry, I just wanted to give you a heads up with this. This is one of those episodes where I have no choice but to talk about a lot of politics, and I know some of you love that idea about as much as getting a haircut from a weed whacker, so look, if you ain't trying to hear any of that, no hard feelings. Here's my score, 1.5 out of 5. It's way too long-winded, extremely preachy, derivative, and it pulls influence from some really questionable sources. Really not going to be an album for everyone, and it's certainly not one for me. There. That's all you really need to know. Everything else I'm going to say here is pretty much just building off of that. If you ain't trying to hear a bunch of stuff you're not interested in, no hard feelings, there you go. I saved you the trouble. Feel free to sit this one out. And I wouldn't blame you for wanting to sit this one out because, well, if that stupid little intro didn't tip you off, today's act is a rather contentious one. Like, really contentious. Honest to God, I probably wouldn't have touched this with a 10-foot pole. God knows no one else has, but this one was specifically Patreon requested. And believe it or not, politics had nothing to do with it at first. Most people would fire this band as a recommendation to me because I loved the hell out of Fire from the Gods' debut. Hey, the guy who fronts this band used to sing in Fire from the Gods. Neato, I would say back. And now 2 full listens and 2 hours and 12 minutes of my life I will never get back later. My eyes have started puking because rolling them so much has given them motion sickness. You guys have probably guessed by a lot of my recommendations over the years that politically, I tend to be pretty lefty. Look, I'm not gonna shy away from it or anything. While it's a bonus that acts like Bad Religion Against Me and Bruce Cockburn are just stellar kick-ass musicians in their own right, the fact that they have a message that I can personally get down on just makes the particular cake they serve all that much sweeter, you know? But the guys in Backwordz here, they're libertarian? And before you lunge at my fucking throat, I ain't all that down on libertarianism, in general at least, okay? While I wouldn't say I agree with a lot of its tenets, I wouldn't completely shut it down as being invalid. Hey, it's like any political philosophy out there. It has its ups, its downs, and its really ugly sides. And you know, say whatever you want, but the guys in Backwordz, no one can say they aren't without conviction. Eric July's got a hell of a shout to him, and on a lot of tracks, he'll blow your speakers out with how savagely intense his growl can be, and he's very well complemented by bassist Alex James backing vocals. On a good number of tracks, Alex will actually take over vocal duties for the chorus and main hook, and while his pipes are kind of a standard high-pitched proto-emo affair, he's a nice counterbalance to all of July's gravel and shrieking. When these guys sing, you can totally tell they mean what they're saying. Nobody can accuse them of not delivering their all. And that goes for the instrumentation too, really. Guitars are satisfyingly crunchy, drums, while a bit restricted, are still very good, and the bass could be doing more too, to be honest, but it's serviceable. Sonically, this band is mostly alright. I get why people dig their general sound. Like, really, I understand the appeal. It's not too bad, actually. But that's about where the good things I can say about this band end, and yeah, not god-awful or anything isn't exactly the most ringing endorsement, is it? See, I can't even give the music a complete pass because holy hell does this album take some strange turns. And for me, where this album tends to struggle the most sonically is when July has to break out his hip-hop chops. And look, before you even say it, no, it's not because I dislike hip-hop. I love hip-hop, guys, but man, July's flow can get really clunky. He tries to fit way too many words and syllables into his verses sometimes, and it can come off feeling choppy and uneven in places. Man, does the hip-hop stuff clash dramatically against the heavier stuff. When July needs to come in for some rap verses, you can practically feel the song's momentum screeching to a goddamn halt just to accommodate them. The stitches really poke out when they have to do this, and this is no more evident than on Be Great, a nearly 7-minute track that actually starts off as a nice little acro cruncher, but then midway through becomes an almost completely unrelated hip-hop track for about 3 minutes. then rejoins our regularly scheduled programming already in progress. Guys, if you wanted to write 2 songs, just write 2 songs. And on tracks like Tell Me and Addict, there's a lot of trap beat shits, and I swear to God, July and James are just straight up ripping off Drake with their mumbly as fuck chorus and verse work in those songs. Jesus H. Free Market, of all the goddamn MCs you had to rip off, why the fuck did it have to be motherfucking goddamn Drake? Not to mention some of the rhymes July spits out from time to time, especially on this song, are just insipid. Like an underwater tunnel you need to pipe down. Oh my God, it's a Drake knockoff and it's full of dad puns. How the hell did you assholes think of a way to make Drake worse? Anytime pure hip-hop has to enter a song, the album takes a drastic tonal shift, and it makes things sound unfocused as all hell. It's jarring. And speaking of jarring, the message behind a lot of these lyrics, Guys, like I said, I'm not all down on libertarianism, and believe it or not, there were a few numbers I actually thought were pretty cool and interesting. Individualism is a nice little screed on learning to think for yourself and to be cautious of the mob mentality. Though the line, "the government is full of dopes, bro," oh God, that is pure fucking cheese. You sound like a shitty objectivist Poochie the dog, my dude. And praxeology is an interesting little potential economics lesson of sorts. Seriously, man, libertarians get like the most raging semis when they get to talk about economics. My degrees are in English, so I won't pretend I know what I'm talking about here, but hey, it makes for an interesting research day. When these guys hit, yeah, they hit well. Like I said, I understand the appeal. But when they miss, oh! I do not even have time to go over everything I found that made me but a few highlights. Self-ownership and democracy sucks. Where July takes out Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders by name? I mean, yeah, that's pertinent now, but dude, that's gonna date the fuck out of these songs 4 or 5 years down the line. Statism, where guest vocalist Craig Mabbitt sings, "The state you're in is a state of mind." Yeah, my English degree side is just screaming right now. And the coup de grace has to be on tracks like Tell Me and Be Great, where July goes on to bitch and cry and piss and moan about how the industry doesn't hire talented people like me anymore. They just sign artists because they stir drama. And you know, my band is totally turned down like 5 record deals, brah, because we're just that awesome. And I'm sorry you haven't recognized it, but yeah, we turned down all the record labels because we're just that good.
Oh, bitch, bitch, bitch.
You know what? I'm just gonna borrow a little clip from my buddy and longtime show supporter Akraloth2160 because he puts this so much goddamn better than I possibly could.
Yes, I say with a complete lack of shame or irony, you're just jealous.
Thanks, Aki. Yeah, Be Great is especially laughable because remember that huge 3-minute clunky as fuck hip-hop shift it takes? Well, most of that is spent as a diss track to July's former band, Fire from the Gods. Okay, dude, rule number 1 of making good rock music, do not remind me of better albums I could be listening to right now. Yeah, that's the biggest nail in this band's coffin, and despite anything you want to say about their message or their politics or whatever, for any positive thing I could say about them, any redeeming factor they may have potentially had, it's all for naught because these guys still ain't shit when compared to Fire from the Gods. This album is basically Fire from the Gods, except worse and with a copy of Atlas Shrugged sticking out of its ass. Fire from the Gods music is just better composed, better performed, the lyrics aren't nearly as fucking embarrassing, and I'm just gonna full-blown say it, AJ Channer is a way better vocalist and MC than July is. Like, seriously, it's not even close. AJ does an exquisite job of blending the hip-hop and heavy elements of FFTG's sound without making it sound forced and clunky and hard to shift into. And he doesn't have to outsource his damn choruses too, so yeah, if anybody came to me and asked if they should check out Backwordz, I would pretty much have to tell them, dude, check out Fire from the Gods instead, it's way better. I mean, yeah, I agree with their political message more, but I also agree with their let's not rip off Drake and have fucking Chris Franzak as a guest feature message even more. And oh man, this message, it gets exhausting as fuck after 1 hour and 6 minutes. Holy shit, this thing is just too fucking long. Even if you're down with it, it's just too fucking long. I feel like I should be even more pissed about the album's final 2 tracks that make another drastic shift in tone to say, oh, by the way, accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, bruh. No, really? Hell, dude, I have libertarian friends that would say fuck that shit. But by the time we got to that point, I was just too fucking bored to even care. This album was a nightmare to get through. It was long, it was weird, it was uncomfortable, and you know, at the end of the day, its biggest crime is that it's just boring as piss. I mean, I can understand why some people might find this to be their jam. And you know what? More power to you. The only opinion that really matters is your own. That's always been my motto, and you know, I don't pretend to speak for anybody else apart from myself on this channel. But look, unless you're really libertarian, and I mean really libertarian, this is anarcho-capitalism, okay? This is the heavy shit. Or you're just too apolitical to give a shit about anybody's message, then to most of you, I really, really wouldn't recommend this. And even to those of you that would get down with this, it's so fucking long, I'll bet a lot of people will probably jump ship halfway through, because they've got better things to do. And holy shit, so do I. I am just done talking about this band. I've fulfilled my capitalistic duty to provide a service for payment received, and I'm finally fucking done. These guys are all about capitalism, right? Well, hey, capitalism achieved. The system works. What do you know? Dear God, I hope I never have to talk about this band again. Veracity gets 1.5 better bands you could be listening to right now out of 5.